My name's Cockell, and I am the Research and Innovation Manager at Kent Business School. And I was nominated for this award by my lovely colleagues Paola Scapara and Maddie Wyatt for the work that I've done on the Research Excellence Framework assessment and the preparation for Kent Business School submission. Now, the REF is an audit that takes place every 7 years and which looks at the research which individual departments in the university as a whole have produced. It looks at our contributions to academic discourse, so that means the academic papers that my colleagues have produced, and sort of rates them in terms of how other experts in the field have responded to that and how significant a contribution or step change in the research that is. It also includes impact case studies, which are examples of where the research that we've done in the business school has had a positive real world effect. And there's another section which is a report on the environment at the business school. And that is our way of describing the culture here and what we're doing that is enabling our researchers to perform really well. Now, this big assessment is really significant because it's related to money. So the government provides funding to research organisations through Research England, and they distribute that funding to those that are producing really high quality research. But it goes beyond that. It's really about our reputation, because it's about our way of showing our competitors, but also our prospective new colleagues or students that this is a place that does really exciting and relevant and interesting research that has a really positive real world contribution. So I work on the professional services side, which means that I led a team of brilliant people who worked on the REF submission, and that included my colleague Eleni Maglara, who did massive amounts of work, Felipe Suarez, Garcia Suarez, who did work on impact case studies, and my colleague Tracy Pemble, who basically kept everything else going. So we worked over a period of a number of years on the REF submission, but I think I've probably been put forward for this because our academic lead, the professor who was in charge, left the department before we were able to submit our application for assessment. So I took over the lead and the project management of our submission, and I also wrote our environment statement with some incredibly useful help from Jacqueline Aldridge, who's an external consultant. So I think it's for this work in kind of leading and driving forward this really significant activity for the business school, which is why I was put forward for this. In terms of the part of my job that I really enjoy, I would say one of the aspects of the REF submission that was really meaningful for me is the impact case studies. So as a business school, we produce incredibly diverse research. We've got people who have backgrounds as psychologists, we've got computer scientists, we've got people that do the nerdiest of the nerdy, but we've also got people that look at kind of the psychology behind things, and also marketing, digital marketing, analytics. It's really broad. But for somebody that's not within those disciplines, they can seem it can seem like quite a closed world. It can seem like something where it's not easy for a layperson to have a way in. So, for example, one of our professors of finance, Ekaterini, she does things on econometrics. And that means that if you look at one of her papers, you have to Google every other word. There's things like declining discount rates and references to all of these things. But within an impact case study, what we're showing is that this econometric model that she created went into a cost benefit modelling, which allows people to, when they're considering putting together a project, to look at the short-term costs and benefits, but also what the implications will be 50, 100 years into the future, and what implications it will have for future generations. And that works so significant and so definitive that HM Treasury have put it in their Green Book, so that whenever public projects are going to be funded, they're recommending that people take this model and use it to see kind of what will they be, what will their implications of what they're doing right now be in 50, 100, 200 years time. So, and I think it's what's really rewarding is working alongside people whilst they're doing this. So I work really closely with my colleague Madeline Wyatt, who works more on the HR psychology side of things, and her work on the barriers to progression for Black and minority ethnicity professionals is actually really something which can be really applied, and it's something which is really so meaningful because it's about creating a more equal workplace. And her work is around like political and informal behaviours, so the things that you can't necessarily see around who gets asked for coffee, who gets offered the informal mentoring, all these things around who you talk to and why, and what difference that makes to your careers. But then when you take that research and put it into training, which is what I'm putting into training initiatives, you can then see that actually you're changing the structures and the environment, which is enabling these brilliant people to progress. You're not asking them to change. You're not working on a deficit model whereby we are putting the responsibility for getting ahead on those which are the victims of a systemically racist system. You're changing the system. And with one company she worked with, which was in the private sector, they went from having no Black and minority ethnicity individuals on their board to having 10% between 2013 and 2020. So I think these really sort of tangible and significant changes to the real world around us are the thing which I find most rewarding. And the really positive, fun, nice, collaborative relationships that is the ideal between someone like myself and an academic when we are working on maximising what they're doing and translating it into a real world setting. So I think that's the most rewarding. In terms of what is next, so I said that I've got this very kind mark of recognition from the lovely people I work with for this huge, massive project that was 7 years and coming to an end. But the unfortunate point is that you have about 20 minutes to feel really, really exhausted and to, you know, perhaps have a celebratory crunchy, maybe a flake. And then we have to start thinking about the next cycle and the fact that in 7 years' time, we're also going to be saying, look, this is the research our academics are doing. This is the impact they're having on the world, and this is the environment in which we are enabling them to do those things. And so I'm already starting to look with my academic colleagues at the work they're doing and where we can have really positive impact in the world. So one of my colleagues, Kathy Kotiidis, is a wonderful woman I've worked with for many years, and she's working with the Kent Resilience Forum, which is kind of like this emergency cross-agency committee who respond to emergencies over Kent, and that includes things like COVID and Brexit and all of this. So yeah, I think there's exciting opportunities ahead, and we've got so many lovely new staff who are coming in with really exciting backgrounds and portfolios, and when I meet with them, you're talking to them, you're hearing about what they're doing and their background, and you're thinking about how you can help them to get funding, to maximise their potential in terms of getting published, getting the recognition that their work deserves, and also in terms of what businesses, what opportunities, what sector organisations could they be working with that will mean that what they do translates into a real world impact. So that if a layperson says to us, okay, you do, you know, X, Y, and Z, there's not a so what. Like, you create this amazing theory, you create beautiful logistical model, you do this machine learning, but what does that mean? Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I am looking forward to the most. So my academic colleagues are already starting probably to hide from me as I come and hunt them down, looking for our next lot of brilliant examples and cases.